Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Civic Forum of Whispers 87.7 FM. My name is Uche Nogo. Always a pleasure to have you join us on the program. Today, we're looking at rescue to prevention, securing Nigeria's schools after Oyo abduction. That's what we're looking at today. So, welcome, everyone. Welcome. Today's discussion comes against the backdrop of what many Nigerians describe as both a victory and a sobering reminder of Nigeria's persistent security challenges. After nearly 2 months in captivity, all 44 pupils and teachers abducted from 3 schools in Oyo State have regained their freedom following a military operation. While the rescue has been celebrated across the country, it also raises several questions that my guests will be answering in the studio. So let's just jump into the conversation. I'd like to introduce first my guest, Dr. Captain Gidado, retired, a respected military veteran, security strategist, development expert with extensive experience in national security and defense operations. You're very welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. My second guest is Captain Oyeleke Oluwole. He is a United States military veteran, security expert, and chief executive officer at Foxtrot Shield Limited. You're welcome, Captain.
Morning. Thank you.
I have captains in the studio today, so it's going to be a dynamic morning indeed. So I'm going to start with you, Captain Luqman Gidado. Now, the successful rescue of the Oyo pupils and teachers has brought relief across Nigeria. So from your military experience, what stands out most about this operation?
Okay, thank you so much. Looking at it from the security standpoint, I would like to say that it was not only an operation that was conducted by the military, it was a joint effort. The security agencies synergizing strongly and broadly together. It was intelligence driven, and this shows that intelligence is very, very important to further improve our security architecture in this country. The police and the other special forces, even the local vigilante groups, they were part of the operation. So it is a whole lot of series of security forces, both the state actors and non-state actors, coming together to make sure that weeks of a concerted effort yielded the significant result that everybody is proud of. And going forward, I want to say that this should be like a wake-up call that the success have been achieved. However, how do we prevent this from happening? What are the lessons that we have learned from this? Prior to this ugly incident where the pupils and the students were abducted, was there a failure of intelligence? Was there like any early warning signals that was like overlooked by the people, or was there enough security deployment within this general area, not only in Oyo State but across the federation, especially low communities whereby we have a weak governance presence in all these communities? So what are we doing to actually curb issues of banditry, kidnapping across border? I think that should be the focus now. That should be the lesson. What lessons have we learned from this to prevent a reoccurrence across the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory? And as we speak, there are equally Nigerians in captivities. Where we still have people in captive in Kwara State, in Woro community in Kayama local government area of Kwara State. Those that were kidnapped, they are still with the abductors. They are still with them. So, and in Borno State, this same effort, should be allowed to take place. Already efforts are ongoing, but Nigeria will be proud. They will be happy to see that those that are still held in captives are also rescued. Okay. So, to a large extent, I want to applaud the military, the police, the DSS, and other security agencies, and indeed the government for making sure that their efforts yield the significant result that we are all seeing today.
Absolutely, Captain Dr. Oluwole. All right, so reports indicate that several soldiers lost their lives during the operation. What does this tell us about the risk involved in hostage rescue missions?
Good morning once again, and thank you for having me. Yes, so just like Captain Gidado rightly said, a lot of lessons from the operations that led to the rescue. It is very important to use the right word to define what just happened. It was a rescue mission because we saw agencies come together. We saw the military and also law enforcement. We saw what we've been advocating for a long time: fusion and collaboration, interagency collaboration. Um, these types of rescues also comes with risks, and one of the things that with my experience that I've seen uh, that made it take this long is they were weighing the risks. They knew going in that it was a risky business, it was a risky job. You don't, no matter how much intelligence that you gathered or how much plans that you have, sometimes when you hit the ground, uh, the plans don't survive the first attack. So yes, I am grateful for the men and women in uniform once again, and may the souls of the departed, all of men and women that passed, may their soul rest in peace, and may their sacrifice be remembered. So we continue as a nation to to foster stronger, take lessons learned, just like Captain Gidado rightly mentioned, and hopefully we can expand these types of collaboration that we've seen happen in Orire to other parts of the country where there are still issues of insecurity.
So, the military says suspects have been arrested. Should Nigerians expect a broader operation targeting the entire kidnapping network?
Absolutely, that's one of the things that we've been advocating for, and again, I'm looking at this, the response, the coordination as a test case, and I am sure that it has served as a base right now for how future operations will be conducted. I like how the Nigerian military and the law enforcement agencies did not come on TV or radio to announce that today is the day we're going in, and we only heard about the rescue operations after it had taken place. That is what I like. That is what I want to see, and that is how law enforcement and militaries of the world act. So yes, I'm sure as we speak, they are doing a recon and talking and going through all of the things that they put in process to make that happen. And I'm sure they're probably looking at deploying that throughout the country as well.
Captain Gidado, you think that Nigerians will be less agitated now when government says we're doing something, and they actually have results, as against, you're not telling us anything, we don't know what's going on?
Okay, it's good for the government to be accountable.
How do you balance that, from what he said?
Okay, I was
not-
coming to that.
Okay.
It's good for the government to be accountable. We're operating in a democratic system of government. And one of the cardinal principles of democracy is accountability, when leaders are accountable to those they are governing. So, however, when it comes to security issues, there's a little to what the government can unravel. Security issues are more often than not done covertly, discreetly. So you don't expect the government to be coming out on daily basis to be telling you, now we are here, now we are closing up, now we are doing coordination. You understand what I'm saying? And I think Nigerians, it's high time that we uphold patriotism as against trying to be selective on what we want to choose that the government is doing well. For me, to a large extent, I'm not the spokesperson of the government, but as somebody who have been privileged to participate in a series of theaters of combat operation across the country, I understand these complexities, and I know that you don't divulge your information to the adversary. They are around the social media space. So the moment the government is coming out on daily basis to be telling people, as a result of you wanting to be accountable, that we are doing this, we are doing that, I think it will defeat the purpose for which an operation is set up. So Nigerians should try as much as possible to hold on to their emotions and watch out for the results. Of recent, we've seen people trying to request for CCTV footage of the operation to actually see that it was a rescue operation. Come on, that is uncalled for. It was a rescue operation, not relief. You could see on the internet a lieutenant died and some other personnel died. They paid the supreme sacrifice. Still at that, some unpatriotic fellow are still saying that maybe it was staged. I think we need to be more patriotic and appreciate the efforts of the government and our security agencies. I am not saying the security agencies are perfect. There's no perfect military, there's no perfect policing system across the globe. But the little they are able to do, let us applaud them and encourage them to do more.
Is it a case of distrust of government? For a long time, Nigerians have been apprehensive of when government says they'll do this, they don't do it. And then when they say they actually carried out these things, they're like, okay, yeah, we'll see the result. However, you sure you actually did it? So shouldn't Nigerians really ask questions? I mean, you were saying being patriotic, but aren't they allowed to really ask their government questions? You talked about accountability.
Yeah, you are allowed to ask questions. Okay, let me give you a classical example. If, for instance, I'm a lawmaker representing people, I'm getting their constituency allocation on a monthly basis, and what I'm saying should be seen to be done by my constituents. When it comes to security, it's a different ballgame. It requires intelligence. It requires, it is a tactical operation that a lot of things will be done covertly. Are you saying that whatever activity the DSS, the NIA, the DIA, and coordinated under the Office of the National Security Advisor should be divulged on a daily basis? No, for me, I think we should understand that security, which is the hallmark for the existence of the government, is a different ballgame. Now we're seeing results. Everybody is happy. I see no reason why some people will still believe that, okay, the government should provide this, provide that. No. We should tell the government to do more. Where they've done well, we should applaud them while requesting that, okay, there's a lot of room for further improvement. And that's not to tell you that there's no still gap within the security sector of Nigeria. We have gaps. And that is why criticize constructively. When you criticize constructively, your patriotism will be obvious. It will be apparent. Then you now request for more. Now we are saying the government have tried. We are saying our security forces, security agencies have tried, our personnel have tried, some have paid the ultimate sacrifice. However, to prevent this, we have achieved tactical success. How do we achieve strategic success? Strategic success is on how can we be more proactive? How can we be more preventive? The best form of security is for you not to even allow it to happen. So how do we achieve this? So these are the things we are calling on the government to put in place.
Okay.
And one of the measures that I will advocate for today is that this intelligence fusion that we've achieved, robust interagency coordination, I think we should sustain that momentum. It will do a lot of good to the Nigerian security architecture.
I was going to ask you more about intelligence gathering and preventing school kidnapping before they actually occur. Captain Oluwole, how can technology, including drones, surveillance cameras, emergency communication system, GPS tracking, and all of that, how can they strengthen school security?
Yes, infusion of drones and other technology is eminent. We have to move towards that type of security. And one of the things that I appreciate is that in the last few weeks and months, there's been a lot of talks, and we've, as a nation, I've seen the government, I've seen individuals, security analysts, experts, and even law enforcement call for the integration of of technology to help fight insecurity.
Yeah.
Yes, I have been a very big advocate for infusing technology. One of the things is, I recently wrote about schools having CCTV, having, prevention controls and all of those things in place. The security system needs to be, overhauled. The Safe School initiative needs to be expanded. And, talking about that, I think it's an approach that would only yield results if there's a whole of government and all of society. It's not just a police thing, because in Nigeria as we speak, the ratio of police to the community is like one policeman to 600 people. So, as much as we want, the Safe School initiative to work, to be a thing, which includes the use of technology, deployment of personnel, and all of that, there's this part of it that we need locals, the community, the vigilantes to also come together and see it as, an action that they have to take. I was reading recently in some of the schools, since the Uriwe kidnapping incident, some locals have actually taken it up to form vigilante groups to help protect local schools in remote areas, and that's a good thing. So now that this situation has been resolved, and there's still other situations pending especially in the northeast, and like you said, in Kwara State. I know it is time to go back to the drawing board, look at how we can move to prevention. Part of prevention is being able to predict incidents before they happen, and that is the work of intelligence. There's no way that you can do that. Again, in as much as I call for the use of equipment such as drones and all of that, I think we also need to know that those are regulated things as well. It's not something that you can just buy and start flying. If we have everybody just flying it, and we would have more security risks. To be chaotic. So now moving on to that, I know the NSA has a process now that you have to go through to be able to acquire drones for security. Yes, the conversation is on the table, and I hope that the people at Aims of Affairs will be ready to have these conversations too.
Should government be investing more in technology when it comes to security? Do you think enough is being done in that area by government?
It's not just technology. First of all, if you have technology, you still need people to deploy the technology. I think we need to invest a lot in welfare of our armed forces, welfare of our law enforcement. Okay, and kind of like push back a little bit once we get to that safe ground of militarizing our policing system. There's a lot of that that I see, and I think it has its pros and cons, but to me a lot of cons to that. And again, technology, yes, the talk is on right now. I think there's a chance to actually reorganize to get it right with the state police bill that has passed the House of Reps and Senate, and now going back to the State House of Assemblies. I think that incorporation of technology should be obvious in that bill on how the standardization of trainings, equipment. Under the equipment, I think technology should be standardized.
Okay.
So
are you both happy about that bill? You talked about the state police bill. Are you happy about the bill?
Of course, certainly.
Regardless of the concerns about a lot of Nigerians.
Their concerns are valid, but the necessary institutional safeguard, as you can see, we are not rushing to implement it. The federal government is trying to be very, very meticulous to make sure that we don't make the mistake we made during our first republic, where policing, especially regional police framework, was used to victimize a political opponent. That is why the IGP of the police is setting up a body headed by a professor to make sure that what will be the instrumentality framework to set this up.
Okay.
The federal government equally set up a committee. I think the chairman of that committee is the chief of staff to the president, and I know Governor of Kwara State is equally part of it. All these framework are to ensure that the implementation process is not faulty, so that we put in place the necessary institutional and constitutional safeguard to prevent any form of abuse. So to a large extent, I think it's a welcome idea, and it has a great tendency of improving the security of life and property, especially within the ungoverned spaces that we have in Nigeria. Crime are local, insecurity is local, where criminality, banditry, and insurgency is taking place, where kidnapping is taking place, is at the remote area, the rural communities, and this is where we need to put in concerted efforts to improve our security of life and property.
Captain Gidado, do you think that government can realistically guarantee the safety of schools across Nigeria, particularly the rural and high-risk areas you just mentioned? Do you think so?
Yes.
Because we're hearing that some parents don't want to send their children back to school in that area.
I think if we don't get it right on the aspect of education, schools being protected, given the necessary attention and protection it deserves, we are toying and joking with the future of Nigeria. Because if you are attacking the educational sector of any country, you are attacking the future. So how will the leaders of tomorrow, how will they be schooled properly? So the educational system deserve everything that is possible to ensure that it's not seen as soft targets by criminal groups. So we have the framework already in place. We will not be suggesting new methodology on how we can safeguard our schools. They are in place, but are they being properly implemented? Are they being properly, institutionalized to make sure that the purpose for which they are set up is seeing the light of the day? The Safe School Initiative, the NSCDC, they have a framework for that. The police have a framework for that. The military is equally supporting. If we go to our schools across the federation, are we actually going to see, security agents being deployed in all these schools?
Yeah.
That is the question that begs to answer. For me, I don't think we are going to see them the way we expect to see them. So if we're having gaps within the security framework of Nigeria, because the military is overstretched, the police don't have enough personnel, the NSC don't have enough personnel to sufficiently provide security for all Nigerians, then we need to look inward. The non-violent, non-state actors, the vigilante groups, the forest guards, I think they can complement the efforts of the state security agencies to safeguard our schools across the federation. Thankfully, state policing bill have been equally approved. So all these framework, they need to be properly galvanized to make sure that our schools are not seen as soft target. And if you look at the incident that happened in Oyo State, in Ogbomoso, where the abduction took place, the general area is already like it's aids criminality. Bushes are being seen, visibly seen, around the school premises. The school is more or less like thrown inside a forested area. So situation of this nature can be prevented. That's why I'm talking about how do we achieve strategic success. It's prevention. Any school that is around a thickly forested area, I think that general area should be leveled. They should go and carry out bulldozer, make sure that they level that place so that you can at least see 1,000 meters, ahead of the school. The nooks and crannies of the school, the perimeter of the school should be seen, clearly. Not that just about 100 meters away from the school premises is thickly forested. That is not good enough. So when you deploy a school, or when a school is stationed in a situation whereby it's not thickly forested, ahead of the forest, you cannot deploy guards. Already you are ensuring the outer and inner cordon of the school is safeguarded. So that alone is like a early warning mechanism. Early warning mechanism in the sense that when you see people trying to penetrate, trying to infiltrate the school premises, and the needful will be done. So as against the backdrop of always having our school, being stationed in a thickly forested area, I think these are the aspects the government equally needs to look into.
All right, Captain Oluwole, if government were to relaunch the Safe School Initiative today, what practical reforms would you be recommending?
Yes. One, I'll be recommending, because of the ratio to, like I explained earlier, police to citizens, we don't have the strength to cover all schools in Nigeria. That is the truth. Because if you look at the population of men and women in uniform, including the law enforcement agencies, is not even up to 1 million for a country of about 950,000 plus kilometers. And so that's a big deal. And we have over almost 300 million people. So, and the biggest population of Nigeria is still youth going to school. And this is not just about primary schools and secondary schools, all the way to higher institutions as well. So if we're talking about safe schools, we have to consider all of that holistically. So I would recommend, inclusion of, private guards, private security companies. It's the best practice in even other countries. Schools are allowed to hire armed guards and all of that. So in this case, maybe the vigilantes and all of that would help. They can train them on that initiative on how to guard schools, just like some of the suggestions that Captain Gidado said. Why would you have a school in a forested area? That is a big red flag. So do all of that and technology, like you rightly mentioned earlier. There are certain places where, we can monitor. If you have a place like Orire that is is almost a remote area, you can actually have a command center, okay, in Ibadan, in Oyo State, that is monitoring all of the general area, like you mentioned, and you can deploy people, you can deploy men in uniform if there's an emergency. I think that's
Okay.
pretty much the best practice.
So as we begin to wrap our conversations, do you think that state governors should bear the responsibility for securing schools within their states
State governors
by
are
themselves?
State governors are the chief security officers of the state. It is important to know that, and this brings the issue of state policing once again. I have heard governors also now. I've heard citizens say, "Well, we're afraid of governors having so much power, having the state police. They're gonna abuse it. They're gonna do this and that." Yes, all those concerns are very, very valid. We have to talk about those. But at the same time, I've heard governors also say, "Well, we arrested a criminal in my state." And again, a call comes from Abuja, says transfer him to Abuja, and the criminal is let loose.
Mm.
Or even as a state governor, I don't have total power to go after certain people or persecute certain people in my state. So I think, yes, state governors should be handed over that responsibility because everything cannot be centralized. I'm glad that we're going towards a more decentralized system of policing or system of security, and that should also, be supported by local policing because you cannot know the Orire area better than the locals.
Mhm.
This thing that we're celebrating right now, there's a there's a part that we're not talking about. Okay, the locals that helped security forces in getting this done.
They should be given their flowers.
Yeah,
too.
they should be giving their flowers too. So absolutely. So again, all of society, all of government approach, but I think that the state governors should be given the mandate to protect schools in their states.
All right, this final question to both of you. What message would you like to send to Nigerians, parents, teachers, and students as schools continue to reopen across the country? Captain Gidado, we'll start with you.
Okay, my message to Nigerians is that security is a shared responsibility. We should continue to be the eyes and ears of our security forces. They cannot be everywhere. Taking a case, for example, the Orire incident, there were red flags that was neglected by the locals. It was recalled that there was a woman that was making more sales more than ever before. Very unusual. Nobody reported that. The senator representing that general area, Senator Buhari, said it. That after the aftermath of his investigation reveals that there were influx of people in that general area. They were buying things. People thought they were making profit. That was a red flag. When you see something that is suspicious, do not hesitate to report to the nearest security agency so that they can do the needful and respond swiftly. So, like I said, security is a shared responsibility, and for the security forces, when incidences are reported, when issues are reported, they should swing into action promptly to further improve the security of lives and property.
Same question to you, sir.
Yes, my advice to Nigerian parents, I'm also one, I have kids in school, cooperate with the schools, because some schools right now are coming up with a lot of like initiatives also to help prevent these types of issues. Like in my kids' school, a random person cannot just walk in. They have to know you and all of that. So cooperate with the schools during your PTA meetings. Talk, bring up ideas, bring up things that can help out. Because if we are expecting the government alone to do, everything, I think then we'll be, fooling ourselves. And in addition to that, there is a reorientation going on. There is a call. There is a advocacy for the state school initiative that we talked about, amongst other things to be done. But before that gets done, okay, the people on ground, the parents, the schools, the locals, it's an all hand on deck thing. Right? Every area is different. What applies in in Kano State would not apply in Anambra State. So we need to look at our locality and then, create a framework that helps the security of our schools, and then collaborate with the local authorities, the government, the police, and like again, I would always encourage the vigilantes. Seeing what they did in some states since the Orire incident, big applause to them, and thank you.
The psychological part of this is another conversation, but not for today. But I'm sure you know that this is something that government needs to look to, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. My guest today, Dr. Captain Luqman Gidado, retired, a respected military veteran, security strategist, and development expert. Thank you so much for joining us on the Civic Forum.
It's my pleasure.
Also, Captain Oyeleke, former Oluwole, United States military veteran, security expert. Thank you for joining us on the Civic Forum.
Thank you very much.
And to everyone, thank you for being here. Tomorrow, we'll be back with another topical conversation. My name is Uche Nogo. Have a great day.